Hello, everybody. Jerry Jones here with Jerry Jones Direct, and with me today I have our Director of Coaching and Training, Miss Lisa Mellick. Lisa, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you,
Good.
Jerry?
I'm fantastic. No complaints. Um, uh, I'm not going to complain about the cold weather because it is cold, but I'm not going to complain about it because in about 6 months, 7 months, I'll be complaining about the hot weather. So, at the risk of sounding like every other human who complains about the weather, I guess maybe I'll try not to be the one that complains. But.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some great content to cover this morning, and I'm sure we're going to have folks joining in here because it's a Friday. We're doing this on a Friday. We're doing this at a different time, more of as an experiment to see, what that looks like for folks that can join us. And so we're doing this on a Friday at 9 a.m. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully, we have more folks joining us in. We've got a couple already, but regardless of how many watch us live, it really doesn't matter because we can post this thing and we can be forever memorialized on YouTube. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's what'll happen. So why don't we go ahead and get started with this? And I'm going to share my screen here. And just so everybody knows how this is going to go, Lisa's going to be doing the preponderance of the delivery of the content and training this morning. I'm only going to chime in where I feel I can add some real value and not just kind of disrupt the flow of things. So Lisa's the expert for sure on this, and I'll let her share a little bit about her background with everybody here in a few moments. But first, let me share my screen, and we'll cover some housekeeping items and make sure everybody is on the same page with us. So here we are. We got some housekeeping items here, and they're on your screen in front of you if you're joining us on your computer. I wanted to let everybody know the State of Dentistry 2019 is going to be available shortly, as literally in a day or two. The final product is done, so the only thing we're waiting for now is just some technical stuff behind the scenes with our tech folks here at Jerry Jones Direct. So we should have a release coming out on that probably Saturday or Sunday. I mean, it could be Sunday, could be Monday, but it's going to be within the next day or two. So watch your email for that announcement so you can claim your copy. You'll be able to go to a website and opt in, claim your copy, and read all about the exciting and maybe for some scary changes that are taking place in dentistry right now and what's coming down the pipe. I also wanted to mention our next live event for Jerry Jones Direct is going to be April 12th and 13th here in Salem, Oregon. The event's for solo practices producing at least 90 grand a month and up. These can be solo or small group practices. Here's the caveat: only 5 practices can be admitted to this event. It's a small elite group of folks. Details are at busydentist.com. Or if you want more information, you can call us here at Jerry Jones Direct, 503-339-6000. If you have any distractions at all that will prevent you from really taking advantage of the value of this training, choose one. You can't multitask. I mean, you can't repair a tooth and be doing practice management things at the same time. And so here we're asking you to just choose us, this webinar, or whatever it is you think might be more important. But if you're here, we want you to pay attention. We want you to get value from our time together here today. And so do pay attention if you're here with us. As we go along, if you have questions, we're going to be taking a short break after each of the 3 segments to answer any questions you have about the segments. If by chance another question comes up as time goes on about one of the segments we've covered, just jot a note. And we have 2 ways that you can reach out to us during the webinar. And so, if you're kind of like me and a question pops up and you want to get it memorialized before you forget, there's a Q&A button on your control screen. Just hit the Q&A. You can enter your question and we'll answer it during this call, during this training today. There's another option too, and that's the chat option. So if you want to use the chat box option, that's also available on your control panel. And you can enter your questions there. So that's kind of how we're going to interact. I want everybody to know nothing is being sold on this training. We don't have a fantastic offer to make you at the end. Although there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great opportunity for people to get involved with our company if that were the case. But in this case, we do have something we're providing, but it's at no charge. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get towards the end. So Lisa, are you all set? Have I talked enough?
I'm ready. Yes.
Okay, I'll take the rest of the morning off. Let's go ahead and get started. Lisa, before we get going, why don't you share, and I've got on our screen now what we're covering today, the 3 critical areas, but why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you came to, I guess, get involved in dentistry and consulting specifically, and a little bit about your background, because I think it's important that our viewers and our listeners know that you've got the bona fides to really know what you're talking about. I mean, you live this stuff. So I'll let you share that, and I'm just going to be quiet.
Okay, perfect. So before the dentistry part, well, I'm born and raised in the Northwest, Washington State, and I live about 5 miles from the BC Canada border. So I get to go up to Canada a lot and go fishing and camping. I love it up there. It's beautiful. And I started in dentistry about just over 20 years ago. I originally was going to school for nursing. The body, I've just always loved the body. It's fascinated me, and I love working with people. So I ended up in dentistry. A good friend of mine was in dentistry, and she got me into it, and I just loved it. The doctor I worked with at that time was mainly cosmetic. We had like a cosmetic boutique. This was, back in the late 90s, and that was his passion. But he really let us grow as a team. And I started out, when I originally started, I was a dental assistant with no experience, and front office, no experience, same time. So I'm like trying to learn teeth numbers and trying to learn how to bill insurance and present financial arrangements. But that's how it was. I mean, it was great. Never a boring day, just moving quickly. So I learned a lot with front office, back office, and then I started managing. I started working for a doctor that was leading edge in dentistry, and I learned so much with him, and we were always learning what's new, what's next, and that included everything with leading our team, managing the team, technology and dentistry, marketing. He was one of the biggest marketers I know. I mean, we were out there, and I loved it. He ended up retiring. And then things I felt got a little bit stagnant with the learning process. And I started getting I need more. I'm just starting to get kind of bored with it. I was so used to always be learning and coaching my team on new things. So that's when I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to go out there and help teams learn more and be the best they can be, and be teaching them about all these leading edge things in dentistry and communicating and leadership. And so that's how I ended up in consulting. So yeah, it's great. I love it.
And I can attest firsthand. I'm not saying this because you work with Jerry Jones Direct. I'm saying this because I actually saw exactly how effective you can be in a practice. Prior to my sale of my practice last May, I can't believe it's coming up on a year here so quickly, but I hired Lisa to come into my office, and she did some fantastic work with my team. She cleaned up a mess that I was embarrassed about. We all have messes, right? We all have the skeleton in the closet. Well, the systems and some of the things in my office were just, they degraded over time. And Lisa came in and just, cleaned house, fixed everything, just really tuned up our practice. And she was a big reason why I think that practice was so attractive for a sale at that time, as well as why I got a far higher sales price than probably I deserved. But anyway, that's a good thing. It worked out well for everybody, and Lisa just did a fantastic job. So I was so impressed. I asked her, I said, hey, what's the chance of you coming on board and joining Jerry Jones Direct? So I cajoled and did everything I could to get her on board. So she's here with us today, Jerry Jones Direct. So I'm super stoked that you're here. So are you ready to get started? We kind of got all of our, got all that good stuff out of the way. So why don't we just plow in?
Good. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you.
Yeah. You bet. It's the truth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'll be going back and forth so you can see Lisa full screen and the screen in front of you with a few bullet points on it. So I'll kind of be going back and forth. So if I happen to advance the slides too quickly, it's just my fat thumbs trying to work. So Lisa, I'll let you go ahead and get started. You can share with what we're going to cover today, and then we'll get moving.
All right. So like what's on the screen, the three things that we'll be covering today: the first interaction with the new patient, scheduling next visits, creating that long-term relationship, and leveraging a great first visit, getting those positive reviews. So with the first one, the interaction with the phones, how to build rapport and relationship quickly. It's very important that it's done correctly and quickly, because we don't have a lot of time to be sitting on the phones. First visit should not feel like a first visit. It should feel like their second visit. And how to improve your conversion rate in new patient phone calls. So first off, with the phone training, your teams must be trained, your team members. I've seen so many new team members come on board and just get thrown right onto the phones. I know that's how it was with me for the first, 8-9 years. I never had any phone training. So you know, we just went with it. We had an intake sheet, but we never really had phone training or someone critiquing us and letting us know how we're doing. And that's how it is in most practices or businesses. Jerry, how do you feel about phone training?
Well, I mean, I think I probably made it pretty clear in the emails to get folks onto this webinar. Look, if you don't have, it's the first step, right? So if you blow it, the whole relationship falls apart, and you know let's be honest. Prospective patients form their opinion of your practice based on that initial interaction, based on that phone call. It is the same as the mom of 6 kids, or you know the retired woman who's very discerning walking into your restroom, and if there's a fleck of dust, if the toilet paper roll is empty. I mean, if things aren't attended to, you are judged on your clinical skills based on how your bathroom looks. Now that's a horrible thing. I mean, but that's just reality. So if you blow the phone, I mean, in Lisa, we hear these calls constantly because we track every incoming call for our marketing clients. You know, clients who are spending $5,000 to $15,000, maybe $20,000 a month on marketing. And if they screw that phone call up, that money is literally, it just vaporizes. And so I really can't stress enough how important that is. And this goes back 20 years ago when we were using a tape recorder to record phone calls, you know, that we would do in advance before we worked with a client. And, you know, it's just, it is everything. Blow this and you blow it all. Get this right. And you get, you know, the world opens up to you, and you literally build a fan very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you know, I've always been told this, the most important piece of equipment in a dental practice is the telephone, because if it's not being handled correctly, if you're not getting the patient scheduled, then you won't be able to use the rest of the equipment in the office. So the telephone's number one. So we have to know how to use it. And it may sound simple because, you know, we all know how to talk on the phone, but be able to really build relationships, get the new patient scheduled, show confidence, be engaged, be able to show empathy, all those things, it takes training. And like I said before, most businesses don't even offer it. And it's really unfair to those team members because we expect them to fill the schedule, keep it full. And then when it starts falling apart, who do we look at? We look at the ones that are handling the phones. And some companies, some doctors, then at that point, they'll be like, oh, we have a problem. They'll hire a company, and that company will go in and listen to the calls, send a recording to the office, and then it gets played. And that could be really humiliating for the team member because they didn't even have the training. They don't know what they don't know. So, and we all need to have a team of experts. So we have to have the training, and I really recommend that training before they even start talking on the phone, before they start answering the phone, and then quarterly, because every time we have another training, we pick up more and more things, and we get better and better. Our skills just keep growing, and we all need a team of experts. They say that 1/3 of all new patient calls get scheduled. And that's only 1/3. So imagine if it's 50%, 60%, 100% or more. I mean, just imagine how your schedule would be, how much dentistry you'd be producing. We do train with scripting, but I want your team members' personalities to come out too. I don't want it needs to be natural. It needs to be real. I don't want you reading from something, but I want you to stay on point with the questions that need to be asked. So I also believe in mirroring the patients, because if you have a patient phoning in and it's an emergency patient, they're in pain, you need to show empathy to them. You need to be engaged on the call, but they may not want to talk that much because they are in pain. They just want to get scheduled. Or you may have a patient phone in that's a new patient and they might want to talk more. So you need to mirror them on the phone so you can build that relationship with them. When the phone rings, make sure before you even pick that phone up that you have a smile on your face, that you can be there 100% with that caller. Introduce yourself and the practice. I listen to a lot of calls where the person answering the phone, the team member, doesn't introduce themselves. I know when I call a business and that happens, it just frustrates me so much. Like, who am I even talking to? Most of the time I'll end up asking, who is this? Just so I know.
That's the wrong question for a prospective patient to be asking, is who am I talking to?
Who is this? So yeah, make sure you introduce yourself, the practice, ask the caller's name immediately, because you need to know their name. You need to use it a few times during the call, naturally. So it doesn't sound scripted. The more you use their name, the more relationship you build with them. We all love to hear our name. So we need to use it. Even in the dental practice, when they're there, make sure you're using it when they're in the operatory with you. Or when they arrive, make sure you know who's coming in at that time. So you can say, oh, Jerry, hey, you're nice to meet you. You know, I was the one who talked to you on the phone. You know, use their name often. When they phone, you need to take control of the call. So when they first call, they're asking you a question. Maybe the question is, you know, are you taking new patients, or can I schedule an appointment? At that point, they have control of the call. Well, you need to turn that as quickly as you can. You need to be the one asking the questions. And when you are, then you have control of the call.
Would you, can I interrupt there for a second? Would you consider that playing offense instead of playing defense? I mean, it's kind of like, right?
It's so funny. I was thinking of that. I'm like, I like football. I really do. And I was thinking of football. Last night,
sorry, Patriots. Go Seahawks.
I go, it's like football. It's like whoever has the ball is in control. So when they first call, they have the ball. I want that ball. I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to have control. Now, yeah, I'm playing offense. So yeah, exactly. That's so funny you said that, Jerry.
I think it's a good analogy. And I think for that, you know, for team members, you know, they understand sports. One team is on offense, one team's on defense. And I think that really, you know, it makes it really clear when a patient calls, you're on defense, but you need to get on offense as quickly as possible. It's very difficult to score in almost any sport on defense. You can really, really run up the points on the board if you're playing offense. And so I guess if you think of it in those simple terms.
Yeah, definitely. That's funny.
Am I on the right slide, Lisa?
Oh, sorry. I'm just talking. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll go back to that slide. Tell me if I'm not on the right slide, because, you know, we've got amateur hour running slideshows here. So I can do other things, but slides are new.
Even though we need to hear their story on the phone, some of their story, that means they'll be talking, but we'll still have control because we'll be the one asking the questions. We'll be leading that conversation. And we want to get some of their story out because, you know, when we tell a story and when we feel heard, then we like you. Whoever is feeling heard likes the other person. So we need to get some of that story out over the phone. Of course, you don't want to sit there and talk for 20 minutes. Again, stay in control of the call. One thing that I hear often on the phones is, even sometimes before they've asked the patient's name, is, who's your insurance? What insurance do you have? And immediately that tells the caller, all we care about is how we're going to get paid. And we need this call to be about the patient, not their insurance and how we're getting paid. I suggest, if you're asking about insurance, save it for the end of the call. Or I've worked in offices where we don't even ask. You don't even ask. You wait till they come in and you get the information. There are times where they would tell us over the phone, and okay, then great, we'll write it down and we'll get the information before they come. That's fine. But we wanted that first call to be just about the patient, not about the money. Mm-hmm. So save that for the very end of the call.
Lisa, I was listening to a guy that I know and respect a lot. He's been very successful in dentistry, and he's really tuned into what this whole first impression is. And I mean, he's probably one of the a few doctors that really talks about it in his lectures, if you will. And his comment was something along the lines of, for calls that focus on insurance or have too much to do with insurance, only 30% of those calls ever get appointed. So if it becomes about something it shouldn't be, which is insurance, you're very likely, the odds are you're going to lose that patient. They're never going to come in because they won't like your answer, or your answer won't be scripted properly. It won't be positioned the right way. And if you have someone who's inexperienced at handling that quote unquote objection, you're going to lose them. I mean, and so, if I probably should say this for the end, but it's my opinion that if you spent more time training your frontline team, the people that are dealing with your patients, the people that are accepting phone calls, making outbound phone calls to schedule patients, if a practice was to invest more time, energy, and effort in training those people, their numbers would blow up. I mean, literally blow up, because that is a huge resistance point. If you look at, when people make appointments, they're looking for the least resistant process, not the most resistant. Not we're closed Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. We're only open from 6 to 8. I mean, the more resistance and the more roadblocks you put up, the less likely you're going to make that appointment. And I think by having a properly trained team, the resistance level just goes down. And so if you look at it in terms of, electricity, the more resistance in a line, the less electricity can travel through it. The less resistance, the more electricity travels through it. It's just like a hose or an artery. The more plaque you have inside an artery, the less blood travels through it. So I guess, that's a real, again, an analogy, I guess, is what I'm reaching for. Yep. So we want to reduce that friction, right? I mean, that's huge.
Definitely.
We better get going. I'm sorry. I'll quit talking and we'll move on. We'll move on here to the to the next slide. I keep talking. So.
No, that's good. So all of these things come into that relationship building. And I can't say enough about using the patient's name. And before it becomes a habit where you'll be using that patient's name all the time. I know when I'm in a dental practice working, that's what I do. I know it makes them feel good. It gives a connection between the two of us. I want to tell a story quickly. So a few years ago, I was doing a Zumba class, and, I'd pay all this money every month to go. I'd go there 3-4 times a week. I loved doing the exercise class. I had actually started it with a friend of mine, the same one who got me into dentistry 20 years ago. And then she started not going as much. And I've been going there for months, and I would see the owners, which taught the class, they'd be talking to everybody and, but they never really talked to me. And it was like, wow, that's just kind of, I didn't like it. It's like, I want to go where people know my name. They want to talk to me. That's who I want to give my money to. That's where I want to spend my time, because if they talk to me, if they know my name, it feels good. It builds that connection again. So guess what? I quit. I stopped going for those reasons, which I think about sounds kind of weird, but no, I want to go somewhere, spend my time there, get a good workout, spend my money there where it feels like part of the family. And that's what people want in dentistry too. It makes me think of that show, Cheers. We all want to go where everybody knows our name. Mm-hmm. And it's true. And when we do all of these things, build that relationship over the phone call, we use their name a lot. Don't immediately start talking about insurance. When they come in for that first visit, it actually feels like their second visit, because we've taken the time to get to know them, not their insurance company. And that it means so much more. They found a new dental home. They're going to stay. They're going to refer friends and family. And those are the things that we want. Also, when you're on the phone, how to improve your conversion rate. This is a big one. And a lot of times it gets missed. Even with the best of us on the phone, for some reason we start hurrying, and next thing you know, we haven't asked one of the most important questions, and that is, who else in your home can we get scheduled today? I mean, it's so easy. It needs to be on your intake sheet. I think it needs to be in bold, or maybe it needs to be taped onto your computer monitor. because it's one that gets missed so much. Of course, I always say, if it's an emergency patient, that's not going to be most likely what they want to be talking about at that time, but maybe it is. You need to listen to them. Maybe they say, oh, I'm new to the area. I need to find a dentist for my family, but right now I have a tooth that's hurting. Oh, guess what? They just gave you a clue. They have a family that needs to get scheduled. So, feel it out and see if you should ask that question during an emergency call. If not, you'll be able to tell and see what's feeling comfortable. If not, make sure you ask it with all the new patients that are phoning in for cleanings and exams, all of that. Make sure, because then your conversion rate can go up over 100%. It's a big one. It gets missed all the time. So we just need to train our team and have it on that intake sheet. And next thing you know, it'll be a habit to them. Next one, Jerry.
Oh, can I say one thing real quick about that?
Yes.
The multiple patients from one phone call. We would see a lot of Hispanic families in my dental office, and whenever one has an appointment, usually 3 or 4 of the family would come with them. It was like it's an event, a little bit different culturally than a lot of other family units here in the area. And it was a habit that we had, and I don't remember who started it, but I think it was one of our rather gregarious, front office gals who had never met anybody she didn't know or like, would literally go out and ask each and every one of those people, language barrier or not, hey, you got a dentist you're going to? You want to become a patient here? We can get you in right now. So, she'd literally go around the room, and anybody that had teeth and, whatever, she's talking to them. And I think that's another opportunity that are we afraid? Are we not excited and proud enough of our facility and our office and our doctor that we wouldn't ask everybody that's sitting in our space, breathing our oxygen, drinking our water, why wouldn't we ask them, right? So I think that's a whole nother opportunity there to turn one patient into many with zero marketing costs, zero. Definitely.
And when your new patients come in, make sure you give them referral cards too. Some team members will get all worried. Well, who's going to do it? I don't want to be doing it if you just did it, and all that type of thing. Who cares? If so-and-so in the back, the assistant in the back just gave referral cards and you did too, that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't have to worry about those things. It's just because we're so great. We want your family and friends to come to us. That's why we're giving you all our cards. We're excited. We want you to come be part of our dental family. Next one, creating long-term relationships. So they say that 41% of our patients that come in for a first visit do not show up for the second visit. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Jerry, do you have any ideas why?
Yeah, it's funny that this comes up here. In the state of dentistry, I actually dove into this a little bit. Why patients don't come back. Number one, they feel like nobody cares. So why would they return? It's the reason why you left Zumba, right? You didn't feel like anybody cared about you. You're like, they have no feelings one way or another. And so they take off. I think in a dental office, I think it really, it has everything to do with how that patient feels when they get there, while they're there, and when they leave. If that feeling isn't positive, if it's anything but positive, there's a very good chance they won't come back. Very good chance. And, if you look at the time, energy, and expense that it takes to get a butt in the chair, or a butt in the operatory, as we like to say here at Jerry Jones Direct, it's tremendous. In some cases, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, $500, $600, $700 to get a butt in the chair. You just can't risk it. And sometimes it's the dentist's fault because he's not a leader, he's not nice, he's throwing instruments and, or she, whatever. It can be a doctor, but most often it's the feeling that they get between, there's no chemistry between the doctor and the team. And there's an aura of repulsion, and people literally just don't feel like they're welcome. And so they don't come back. And I think that's an easily addressed mistake, error, problem, whatever you want to call it. But to me, that's the big reason why.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel that we need to educate our patients as to why they need to come back. with that next visit. I feel like a lot of people, they just know, oh, we go every 6 months. That's just what I've always done. Well, why? They don't know. Or, oh, I go once a year. Or I've never been. So I really don't know why. I just got them clean. Isn't that good? So why do I
brush my teeth?
Yeah. So why do I need to come back? So we really need to create value in that next visit and educate the patients as to why they need to come back. And one thing that I like to recommend, I call it a tool. I know in our chart notes, we're writing up our chart notes as to everything that we're seeing, our concerns, everything. But I like to have at the very bottom of the chart note, doctor's main concern, hygienist's main concern. And that would be, what goes in there is the reason why they need to come back in 6 months, what you educated them on, whether it's they're having some inflammation or they're on new medication and you want to make sure that it's not causing dry mouth, or there's bleeding in the lower right, whatever it is that you told them why they need to come back in 6 months. And you need to have something for every patient. And then when you take that patient up front and you have the handoff with your front office team member, that's part of the handoff. We really want to see Jerry in 6 months because he has some bleeding on the lower right. We want to make sure it's under control. And so then it was just said in front of that team member, because a lot of times when that hygienist walks away from the front, that patient will go, I really don't want to schedule. And we have no ammunition as to why they need to be scheduled. So now we do, because it was in the handoff. So we can use that. Oh, doctor really wants to see, this is really important, and get them scheduled. Another great thing it's used for is in 6 months when we call to confirm their appointment and they're trying to cancel it. Well, guess what? We can pull it up in their chart notes. It's at the bottom always. It's easy to see, and we can bring it up again. And they say the more we hear something, the more we believe it. And 3 times we need to hear something before we believe it. Well, guess we just said it again to them, how important it is that they need to come back in. Doctor really wants to check that area. So it's not just for a cleaning. So it can help with your no-shows and also with your reactivation. When we go to call a patient to get them reactivated, we don't want to call and just say, well, we see that you're overdue. We see that you're due for your cleaning. We need to tell them the reason we need to see them. So I think it's really important that we have some sort of a tool that we're giving to our team members to use so they can help keep the schedule full and have it be part of what the patient is already hearing, what they hopefully were told at their last visit.
I think you hit on a real important topic. This, the reason why. What is my reason why? Why am I returning? And I think too many of us make assumptions that our patients know they need to come back every 6 months. They know they need hygiene appointments. They know they need an exam. Well, do they? And how often have you told them? And is the reason really a good reason? I was thinking while you were talking, what about someone like me who really doesn't have, I've never had dental work. And so my visits really are just exams and cleanings to make sure I don't have a cavity or a cracked tooth coming up, or maybe some infection. So what do you tell a patient who's in really good shape so they keep coming back?
Well, first off, congratulations. I wish that was me, Jerry.
I got lucky. Genes, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we're not just looking for cavities and for periodontal disease. We're also we're doing cancer screenings. We're checking jaw joints. We're doing other things. And that's another very important topic. We need to let them know what we're doing. If you're checking for cancer, you need to tell them, because most patients, they don't know what you're doing. You're just looking in their mouth. I know with the previous doctor that I worked with, Dr. Prager, his exams were so thorough, and every time it was completely the same steps, same system. Hygienist and assistants never got lost of where he was at and what he was doing, and he let the patients know. And I don't know how many times I heard from patients saying, wow, that was the best exam I've ever had. I think the most thorough exam. So yeah, we're not just cleaning your teeth, Jerry. We're also checking for other things too. So it's important, and we need to tell them.
Yeah, and very soon there's going to be A1C tests that are going to be
Yeah.
reimbursed by Delta. It's already happening in Connecticut and New Jersey, and thanks to Dr. Keith LeBeau, the dental director for Delta, for really spearheading that. That's going to be big. I mean, that's one more value add for why patients need to keep coming back. I mean, high blood pressure, there's all these opportunities. High blood pressure is a big one. And if you're not taking blood pressure at every single appointment, I mean, I got to wonder why. I mean, you're a healthcare provider. You should be doing that. And that's coming from, not from me, but from people that know, that have told me. So I'm not telling you, I'm just relaying the message. But
Yeah.
because I'm not a dentist, I'm not a doctor. So, but I think it's big. I think this, building that value and the reason why is really important if you want returning patients, because if you don't build the value, they're not going to see a reason to come back. And if I don't have a good reason to come back, I'm not coming back, period.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely. Now next, go to the next slide, Jerry. What to say and what not to say when scheduling. First, before I talk about that, I think I mentioned it at our last webinar. I really feel that doctors should be calling the new patients the night before and just welcoming them to the practice. And it helps with no-shows to have the doctor call you. I mean, it makes you feel special, important. And it also is a head start on your relationship building with that patient too. So when you meet them for the first time face-to-face the next day, you already discussed with them a few things the night before. If not, you left them a great message saying how you look forward to meeting them. So I wanted to throw that out there because it helps with relationship building too, having that doctor call. Is there anything you would like to add to that, Jerry? I know that you've mentioned it before too.
I think we'll leave it at that.
Okay. So I don't know how many times I've heard this, but I'll be walking by an operatory and I'll hear a hygienist or an assistant say, would you like to schedule your next visit? Oh my gosh. No, I don't want to, Never, never, never say, I would like to, or would you like to schedule your next visit? And if you hear a team member doing that, doctor or office managers, address it right away. Maybe they're not even realizing what they're saying. Let them know, because that's just an opening for the patients to say, no. I mean, you should be saying, Jerry, we need to see in 6 months. What days work best for you? Already be acting like they're scheduling. Don't ask, just act. They're already scheduling. What days work best for you, Jerry? And again, if they're doing it, where they're asking, would you like to, address it right away and have them role play it, even if it's by themselves. So it becomes a habit for them to say it in those words, because then retention rate goes down. It's harder to get them scheduled again. So make sure they're not asking, would you like to? Or with confirming appointments. I'm just calling to confirm your appointment. That doesn't make you feel very special, really. I don't think. I'm just calling. No. Oh, Jerry, we get to see you tomorrow. This is awesome. We get to see you at 1 o'clock tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Have a great day. It's such a big difference than I'm just calling to confirm your appointment.
Right. Yep.
And never say, we just want to make sure that time still works for you.
Because it's working for us. So how about we just make the assumption we'll see you tomorrow too?
Yes,
right?
yes. Scheduling for treatment. When would you like to get scheduled for that? I don't know. I got to think about it. No. Doctor wants to see you, Jerry, as soon as possible for that tooth on the lower right. What days work best for you? Act like, have your verbiage where they're already scheduling it. You just need to find out what days. So I think it's really important, and I've seen lots of team members word it so the patient has an easy out to say, no, I don't want to schedule, or yeah.
This is what you just went over is such a, oh my goodness. This is the difference between a practice that has, like a 95% reappointment rate and the practice that has a 30, 40, 50, 60% reappointment rate. This is the difference between a practice that has consistent growth year over year because their systems are right, not because they're attracting more new patients, but because their systems are in place. So, I mean, it's such a key. And, you can look at this as just kind of like, oh, it's just one of those little things. No, it can mean the difference in a single day of 9 out of 10 people reappointing or 4 out of 10 people reappointing. And if you look at the difference in income that produces, it's dramatic. And you can literally go from a $50,000-$60,000 a month practice to an $80,000-$90,000 a month practice by fixing that. And you can go from $100,000 to $200,000 a month practice by fixing that. And so it just, to me, it just makes perfect sense. And it's such an easy fix. And, maybe you could talk about why team members, I mean, I think there's two reasons why team members, why they do this. You want to maybe talk a little bit about that?
I think confidence has a lot to do with it. We're asking, oh, Jerry, would you like to schedule your next visit? Instead of, oh, Jerry, I think a lot to do with confidence and training, of course. Yeah, but mainly that's what I've seen. Confidence, training, gotta have it.
So you gotta have confidence in your doctor that he's doing the best dentistry in the world. You have to have confidence in yourself that you are able to be a part of that team that is delivering the best dental care in the world. And you have to be confident that why that person is coming back or why they're being called back for more care, that those are legitimate concerns that can improve their health and and long-term viability. So I think it's having that confidence. I think you nailed it, really, confidence and training. Because if you have confidence but you don't have the training, you can still blow it. And if you have the training and you don't have any confidence, forget it. So you really need both. I think you absolutely pegged it.
It also made me think of the football again, being in control.
Absolutely. Offense versus defense.
Yeah. And now go back one. When calling for reactivation and unscheduled treatment, there's a skill with that too. You don't want to just call up and say, oh, you're due for your cleaning, or you have that tooth on the lower right, we need to get scheduled. No, I feel it works best if you print off your unscheduled treatment list and you pull the chart or you look through your software to find out that personal information that you found out about that person. Hopefully it's somewhere that's easy to find. In Dentrix, I think it's really easy to find it if you put it in the notes section, not in the chart notes because it gets buried. And so you review what treatment they've had, what treatment they need. Make sure you have all your information. And so then when you do call them, I recommend starting out first with, hey, Jerry, how's it going? How you been doing? This is Lisa. And then start talking about a little personal information. How are the kids doing? I heard you were going on a trip when you were in here last time. How was your vacation? Talk about their personal stuff before you get into the dentistry part. It just shows that you care, you listen to what they say. It's building that relationship. Again, use their name when you're on the phone with them. And then get into, the doctor wanted me to give you a call because we haven't seen you for a while. He's concerned about that tooth on the upper left or whatever it is. But first, get all your information lined up. They might already even be scheduled. Sometimes those unscheduled treatment lists aren't accurate and the patient is scheduled. That's happened. If that happens, just say, oh, good, I'm just calling to let you know I look forward to seeing you. But, it's best if you review everything first and make sure that you have everything, all your ammunition for that phone call so you can get the best results.
Yeah, for sure.
I also like to find out how patients like to best confirm their appointments, because nowadays we have texting, emails, phone calls, and put it in the software so I think it works just best. I'm finding that most patients like to have text messages. We don't like to be on the phones very much. Sometimes to even pick up our phone and to listen to a message is a lot of work for a lot of us, just texting.
Phew, worn out.
Yeah.
Just like Game of Thrones or whatever that game is. It's really pop. I don't even know what it is, but yeah, video games, right?
Okay, so next screen there. Generated a buzz and reviews. How to leverage a great first appointment. Why we need reviews. So I've worked with practices that have hundreds of reviews, and then I've worked with practices that have less than 10. I know that when I worked at the practice that has had hundreds, patients phone up and they say, I searched you on Google. I'm calling because you have all these great, wonderful reviews. Getting the reviews, it needs to be a priority in the office because people look online for everything these days. I know I do. I search online, get all my information, and then I decide what I want to do. And that's what our patients are doing too. So we need to be on the first page for the searching for us, and we need to have lots of reviews. So I found, when reviews first started getting to be popular in the offices I worked in, that we would ask for reviews. Team members would ask, doctors would ask. A lot of team members and doctors feel uncomfortable about doing it. They really do. It just doesn't feel like a natural thing for them to be doing. It makes them feel uncomfortable. Even we'd had scripting and, they'd start out doing it okay, and then it would start sliding and they'd forget. We'd even talk about it in the morning huddle, who's going to ask who, but it's a hard thing. So I think you need to make it simple for everybody and use a program that does it automatically. They work so good. Team members, you don't even have to think about it. With Jerry Jones Direct, we recommend Review Wave. It works so good. It connects into or bridges into our software, so they see who's coming in. An email goes out to them or a text message. You can set it up, and then they can respond. How was your visit today? Would you refer us to a friend? And all those types of things. And next thing you know, you're going to have a lot of reviews, and it's going to make a big difference. We find that patients that get drawn to us because of our reviews, they take time to look at our website, they find out about us. So when they come in for their first visit, they have more knowledge about us, and they end up being better patients because of it. So it's really, really important. It's something that every office should be getting now. Jerry, do you have any comments on that?
I do, yeah. To me, if you're spending any amount of money online, which means you have a website, right? You might have one of those $100 websites. You might have a $5,000 a month website. It doesn't really matter what level of spending you're at. Reviews enhance the viability, the usability, the reliability. It just enhances the marketing in every sense. So it doesn't matter if you're doing direct mail. It doesn't matter if you're doing online only or newspaper ads. It really doesn't matter. You have to have a large number of 5-star reviews, 4.5 plus, or 4.5 or better reviews. If you look at it from a consumer standpoint, put yourself in the shoes. What are you going to buy? Like, let's say you're going to buy a Mercedes, right? Or a Lexus, or you're going to buy maybe a Ford F-150. You are going to want to know what people are saying about the current model, right? You want to know if the current model is a lemon. You want to know if people hate it. The engine's too weak, it's too powerful. I don't know whatever the reasons are. Maybe the driver's seat is just uncomfortable. You want to know these things before you even go to the dealership. And so if you spent 20 minutes online doing a search on F-150s and 2019 F-150s, it's going to tell you a lot before you even go and make that phone call or before you stop by a dealership. Patients are the same way. They're going to get online. If they get a postcard from you, whether you have your website on there or not, they're going to go online and do a search. And they're going to find out how many reviews you have. And that mom or that lady, and on occasion, that guy or that dad is going to look at those reviews and call you. And if you don't have a lot of reviews, it just says that there's not a lot of people talking about you. There's not a high level of interest. But if you have 100 or 200 or 300 or 1,000 reviews, that tells every consumer who's considering your practice that you are a place to be. People think highly of you. And so it's social proof. And I think if I had to, and sum it up in 2 words, social proof, those are the big things. And so to me, there's, it's mandatory that you have a large number of reviews. And as Lisa mentioned, we recommend Review Wave. And if you like, if you're interested in learning more about Review Wave, you can contact us, or you can go to reviewwave.com and just sign up on your own. It's not like we don't make a huge killing off of a referral fee. So just go to reviewwave.com and check it out. But Lisa, you mentioned how this works, that they have a referral or rather a review gate, which I really like. And so it's a process where if the patient has a less than a 5-star experience, they get redirected. And instead of posting that review on Google or Yelp, they get redirected to a feedback page. And so it gives them a place to vent. And this is an opportunity for you then to fix the problem. And I'll let you kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Definitely, because we're not going to please every patient. Sometimes we let patients in the door that we actually shouldn't. And so we need to be really good at screening those patients over the phone. And if we feel that they're really not a good fit for us, we should let them know that, maybe we're not the right office for what they're needing, or, word it nicely, always show empathy. But we need to be screening that to try to keep those patients that we don't want in. I hear a story where we got a bad review, because it does happen. And this was at the office that I previously worked at. And it was a woman, and she wrote in, posted it on Google. And so I saw it right away. And this was before I think we were using a company. So it went right onto Google. And she had mentioned how she felt that her treatment kept changing, the money kept changing, all this stuff. And so she was unhappy about it. And so I went and I looked at the history of everything. And luckily, I had all her financial arrangements that I had gone through with her signed. And yes, when she did come in, her treatment did change. So I went into the operatory and let her know, oh, the doctor found more, or whatever the case was. And so now this is your portion. And so, and it happened a couple times, but patients don't always remember everything, and especially if they're in the chair. But I had her sign everything, and then when I saw that review, I got a hold of her right away and said, I saw your review. I'm really sorry that you're feeling that way. I want to discuss it with you more. And then we did, and she took the review down because she went, oh yeah, that's right. So she had forgotten, and that's another very important reason why we have those financial arrangements signed. Even if it's same-day service, if you're adding on, we need to have it signed and make sure they know, because as we all know, patients, maybe they don't always understand what we're saying. So again, we need to talk as if we're talking to someone who's 10 years old, so they understand, or we're giving them so much information that they can't take it all in. So it happens a lot where patients don't understand everything that we're saying to them. Yeah. Were you going to say something? Sorry.
I was, but I'll I was going to expound a little more on it, but I mean, what else am I going to say? We have crazy patients, and
yeah.
You got to deal with the crazies, and you have to be ready for those kinds of things. So,
yeah.
It's best to know how to handle it. Lisa, if you got a negative review from a patient, and let's say, you thought it was a great patient, you thought they had a great experience, but they post this 1-star review and it's just scathing, and they won't take your call. And in a lot of offices too, what you did is extraordinary. 99% of the team members would not want to confront that person. They would not want to call them and solve it. True. Instead, they would just kind of, hope that the doctor didn't see the 1-star review and kind of duck and hide, and, but the problem is the doctor's going to hear about the review one way or the other. And so it's best to just take these things head on. It's like, if you're sick, you go to the doctor, right? You just got to deal with it and get it done. Peel the scab off, rip it off, and be done with it. So, what do you do with that 1-star review? Because if reviews are so powerful, let's say you got 10 5-stars and then you get one 1-star review. What would you recommend a practice does to deal with that if they can't remedy it with the patient directly?
Yeah, I would reply onto that review and let them know that, you're very sorry that they feel that way, and you really would like to discuss this more to see how we can improve. Don't just ignore it. I know a lot of team members, they do have a hard time addressing issues with there's a negative or conflict, or they just want to, they get scared. But no, reply immediately. Don't wait days. Don't argue with them. Don't try to prove your point. Just let them know that you're very sorry they felt that way and you really would like to discuss it more. And do it right away.
Yeah. You want to avoid the pissing match. Nobody's going to win. If a pig likes to wrestle in mud, and if you get down and try and wrestle with a pig, you're going to be covered in mud. And nobody's going to win. I think you're 100% right. You take the high road. and you do your best online to appear professional and concerned, because you should be. I mean, let's just be real. You should be. If that person does have, an issue with you, there might be some validity to it. And, when as a kind of an absentee owner of my practice for 15 years, we would have that once in a while. We would have a really crushing review, and, I would see it, somebody bring it to my attention, or I would find it, and I would go in and I'd talk to the team. Okay, so who is this person? What happened? What do you think their side of the story is, and what's your side of the story? Because I kind of wanted to figure out if there was really an issue. And I can remember one time actually having the patient and her husband come into the office, and my partner and I sat down along with the doctor and the office manager, and we talked about it. We said, hey, can you come in at 5 o'clock after we're done for the day? And, was it uncomfortable at first? It was. But what happened during that half hour we sat with them was amazing. I mean, we heard about why she was having the struggles she was having and why she posted the review. And, it had nothing to do, it had so little to do with her experience in my office. It felt good from that perspective, but I felt horrible that she was just struggling so much. And her husband was the nicest guy. Anyway, she removed the review. She didn't replace it, but she removed it, and she remained a patient, which to me was, I won twice. We got the review down, and she remained a patient, and her husband agreed to also become a patient. And I think, you don't get those kind of reactions and those kind of wins where both sides really do win. They get a resolution. You don't get that unless you go out and you seek a resolution. If you hide, it's just, that thing festers, and pretty soon it's, it's just full blown body infection. So we want to avoid that. And I think, having a review process where your team isn't, always asking for reviews, makes things easy. I mean, you get to focus on the dentistry and the care, the level of care, and let the software do something. So reviewwave.com is I highly recommend it. I know the owner of the company, and they are huge. They're growing very, very, very fast. They've got some really, because they are doing a great job with it. So check it out for sure.
So it's so easy. You don't even have to think about it. Just set it up, and there it is. Yeah.
Set it, forget it. Very automated.
Yeah. Good. No, yeah, definitely. And last thing, remember, have fun with your patients. If we're a happy team, we'll have happy patients. Have fun at work. You can do it.
Yeah, I agree. There's not enough. I don't know if emphasis is the right word, but to me, there's not. Healthcare is a high stress environment. Any kind of healthcare. Audiologists, for crying out loud, that's probably stressful because people can't hear you and you're trying to talk to them. But you look at dentistry, it's very high stress. I mean, the doctor's under a lot of pressure. The team's under a lot of pressure. Even the front office folks are under a lot of pressure. And you're in a pressure cooker all day. So anything you can do to, if you got that pressure cooker going and you flip the valve and the steam lets off, you got to do that once in a while. And get creative, talk to your team, communicate with them, ask, hey, what can we do to, not ratchet up the fun level here a little bit, because man, we're getting a little too stiff. And patients will respond in kind because they can see you're having fun. They can see that the level of stress has dropped. And hey, this is actually a fun place to be. They're very professional, but it's very fun. They're having a good time. I think about my daughter's orthodontist. This guy, Cole Johnson is his name. He's here in Salem. And props go out to Cole. He'll never hear about this, I'm sure, because he's an orthodontist and he doesn't haunt the general dentistry world. But Cole's a great guy. Young, dynamic, go-getter, and he's kind of got that, he's a good-looking dude, and he's just got a high level of energy. He plays the guitar during the middle of the day. Like, he'll just break out on the guitar and start singing. And he's got a gorgeous staff. The whole team of gals there, they're all, high energy, excited. One of them's got tattoos up her arms, and he doesn't care. He's just like, hey, we're having a good time, It's all about having fun and having a good experience while providing great care. And man, I'll tell you, he's probably got one of the most successful orthodontic practices here in the area. I mean, he's really crushing it. Yeah. And I would credit a lot of that to the environment, the culture that he's created. And it's important to him that he and his team are having a good time. And I think so, I'm not telling you to go break out your guitar and start singing in between patients, but I'm just saying that's one way that he expresses himself and his team having a good time.
That's great. That's wonderful. Yeah, we need to do that. People, we don't want to go to some place that doesn't feel good, just like with Zumba. we want to go somewhere that feels good. Everyone's having fun. They know you. You feel part of that family. You know the whole team. Yeah, I mean, it's night and day if you're having fun or if you're not, with your results, with your monthly results, with your retention with patients, and also your team members.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get into that, but that's big too.
Yeah.
The more interested your team is in being where they are, the retention rate just shoots up. And then you're only losing people if they die or they move. I mean, otherwise you shouldn't have high turnover if you've got tens on your team and they're having a good time and they're engaged and they feel informed. I mean, this goes into the whole leadership thing, Lisa, right there. Is that, and we could do like 11 webinars like this on leadership very quickly. So yeah, I mean, great stuff. Before we get into the questions, because we haven't really taken a break for questions, but I want to remind our viewers here that you can pose your question in the Q&A. So there's a Q&A button on your toolbar there. Just click that. You can type in your question, or you can go to the chat box and type it in there. Either way, we'll see your question. But before we get into that, do right now go ahead and formulate your questions. Go ahead and write them out. And while you're writing your question out, I want to just hop on over here to the next slide. So I told you at the beginning that we weren't selling anything, and we're not. But you just had a great example, some great samples of training that Lisa does regularly with teams all over the United States. And she's done it here with my team at my office before I sold it. I mean, it's just really solid foundational concepts in practice management and relationship building and in leadership. That's a huge component of what Lisa teaches. So if you're interested in learning more ways to add income and improve your systems, upgrade them, because maybe you've grown and your systems haven't, to create that ideal practice, reach out. And the easiest way to do that is to go to our website at jerryjonesdirect.com/consulting. At that webpage, it is not a fancy webpage. And for that, I won't apologize, because number one, we just haven't put the time into it. We're busy doing other stuff. We're actually busy delivering content and training instead of building a pretty website. So that website is not pretty, but it gives you an idea of what the deliverables are in our consulting arrangements. And there you can sign up for a free, no charge, no obligation discovery session with Lisa. And it can run anywhere from an hour to 90 minutes. And on the discovery session, it's really, I mean, there's two things. There's two goals in the discovery session. And it's number one, to determine what's going on in your practice. Like, what's the state of your practice, right? What's happening right now? And then the next step is just to determine, the next goal rather is to determine if we can provide and be a solution. That's a horrible sentence there. Determine if what we provide can be a solution. Yeah, that's it right there. So that's the two primary goals of this discovery session with Lisa. And there's no charge. I mean, it's literally her giving you up to 90 minutes of her time to help you understand where you're at and where you want to be. And if we can help, we may not be able to help. In all likelihood, we probably can, but we may not be able to. And so you'll get an honest assessment of what's going on and what can be done to improve your practice. So more information on that at jerryjonesdirect.com/consulting. I'd also tell you, if you want to pick up the telephone and make a phone call, you're welcome to make a phone call, 503-339-6000. So again, that number is 503-339-6000. So jerryjonesdirect.com/consulting is where you can learn more about Lisa's consulting and practice management services. So let's see if we have any questions. I don't see any questions at the moment. And let me hit the chat box here. I don't see any questions in the chat box either. So folks, you do have, a few more minutes here. Lisa, is there any other other bits that you want to add to this as we've kind of gone through here and give folks another chance to ask questions?
Trying to think of what I haven't covered. Can't think of anything. I mean, I feel like I'm always talking about building that relationship and having fun. And I feel like I can't emphasize those things enough. Build a relationship, use the patient's name, make sure the team is having fun, give the best care. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, and we are at just a few minutes past the hour mark. So since we don't have any further questions, I'll give folks, after we wrap this up, if something is just pressing and you can't sleep tonight, shoot us an email. I mean, I'm giving you all sorts of ways here to get your questions answered for free, basically. You can email me, Jerry at, or you can email Lisa at jerryjonesdirect.com. It's just our first name, jerryjonesdirect.com is the URL. So you can email either one of us directly. If it comes to me, I'll forward it to Lisa. So she can be sure to provide you that answer. I would definitely recommend, if you're interested in learning more about our practice management and consulting services and having Lisa travel to your practice and work with your team remotely as well on a regular basis, head on over to jerryjonesdirect.com/consulting. And if you want to call us directly, you can do so at 503-339-6000. There was a moment where I almost gave out my own cell phone number. Not that that would matter. I mean, geez, go ahead and call me if you want. I don't care. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate everybody joining us. And again, if you have questions, reach out. And Lisa, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
All right, we'll catch everybody next time. One more thing, if you're still with us, I've got another webinar coming up here just in a couple of days. That's with Dr. Mitch Levin. And Mitch is a retired physician. And if you have any interest at all in blowing your practice up through what this guy can share with you, watch my emails and be sure you register for the next webinar. And you'll also get a notice, one last commercial message here about the State of Dentistry 2019. The release comes up just in a couple of days. So watch your email and be sure you snag your free copy as soon as it is released. So Lisa, thank you. And for all of you that tuned in, appreciate it, you guys. Thanks. Have a fantastic weekend.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.